So, have you ever just looked around at the news, the climate, just the sheer unpredictable chaos of everyday life and thought, is the world just completely irrational? Like, it's a total mess, right? Well, you are definitely not alone in thinking that. A lot of us feel like things are just fundamentally broken. But what if I told you there's this really fascinating philosophical framework out there that claims all this chaos, it's actually not an accident at all. It's by design. Today, we're going to explore some incredibly intriguing concepts from our source material that map out a completely alternative cosmic framework, one that actually promises a grand, final solution to all our worldly problems.
We are diving straight into the intricacies of what's called Daesoon thought. We'll be taking a totally impartial look at how this unique theological system diagnoses the fundamental flaws of the universe, and, honestly more importantly, how it proposes we can actually fix them.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. First up, why the universe is incomplete. Then, the cosmic tour. After that, misfortune first, soul and body, yin-yang balance, and finally, reconciliation. Let's get right into it. Part 1. Why is the universe incomplete? The intentional flaw in the cosmos. So in this specific worldview, absolutely everything, and I mean time, the spiritual realm, the whole shebang, is fundamentally incomplete. Now, you're probably wondering, why on earth would a creator purposefully make a flawed universe? Well, according to the source, this imperfection is not a mistake. Not at all. It's actually a highly intentional design. Think about it. If the universe was just born perfect, kind of like a kid born with a silver spoon in their mouth, there'd be absolutely no struggle, no effort, and ultimately, zero enlightenment. These cosmic flaws are deliberately put there like a giant puzzle, practically forcing humans and even divine beings to grow by figuring out how to fix them.
And the source material actually uses this really brilliant metaphor to illustrate this point, a mechanical spring. In this framework, time itself is actually incomplete. Time is literally compared to an aging spring inside a machine. You pull it, it stretches, and eventually it just loses its tension and breaks down. Because time itself is essentially this flawed, degrading spring, literally everything within it has to experience aging, decay, and eventual breakdown. It makes a lot of sense when you look at it that way. Moving on to Part 2, Daesoon, Cosmic Tour of Three Realms, Inspecting the Universe's Flaws.
So, if the entire universe is essentially a broken machine, how do you even begin to inspect it? Well, that actually brings us to the very name of this philosophy, Daesoon. To give you some historical context, Korean kings back in the day, like King Jinhung, would go on these massive national inspection tours. They wanted to see the real problems in their kingdom firsthand, bypassing the lies of their politicians. Daesoon takes that exact concept and scales it up to a totally unimaginable degree. It represents a supreme being going on a massive, thorough cosmic tour across the three realms, heaven, earth, and humanity, to personally inspect the universe's systemic flaws and figure out the ultimate solution.
Now, to really grasp this, we need to understand a bit of their unique vocabulary. For example, instead of saying a divine being died or ascended, the term they use is hwachan, and that literally translates to transforming back into heaven itself. It's this really fascinating linguistic shift, right? It emphasizes that these divine beings don't just, go to heaven, they actually become the very fabric of the cosmos once their earthly tour is officially wrapped up.
All right, Part 3, Hwabok, Misfortune Precedes Fortune, How These Cosmic Rules Actually Apply to You. So, how do all these massive cosmic rules impact, say, your average Tuesday morning? Well, it happens through the rule of Hwabok, which is the relationship between Hwa, meaning misfortune, and Bok, meaning fortune. The source makes a great point here. People are always wishing each other good fortune, right? But here's the catch. Fortune never travels alone. It is fundamentally tied to misfortune. The idea here is that the heavens intentionally send you misfortune first to test your patience and your humility, basically to see if you're actually ready and worthy to receive the fortune that's coming right behind it. The speaker in our source material uses this super striking and honestly pretty memorable metaphor for this. They say that misfortune is like an ugly person arriving at your door first. If you lose your temper, get angry, and just lash out at this unexpected guest, the beautiful person standing right behind them, which is fortune, will literally just turn around and walk away. It's a really powerful lesson in having extreme patience and just enduring the daily hurdles of life under these cosmic rules.
Which leads us to Part 4, Hanbek, Union of Soul and Body, the ultimate duality.
To really get this, we have to look at how this duality exists right inside of us. According to this framework, a human being is actually made of two totally distinct parts,
First, you have the Han, which is the soul, and that originates from heaven. Then you have the Bek, which is your physical body, and its earthly energy, coming from the earth. When a person dies, the Han flies up and the Bek returns to the soil. But here is the absolute kicker. Only when these two clash and unite in a living, breathing person do we actually achieve Sengak. That translates to thought, awareness, and the true capacity for enlightenment. Spirits up in heaven, because they lack a physical Bek, literally can't learn or grow in the same way that we humans can.
And as you might guess, balancing these two forces is incredibly difficult. The source actually relates this daily struggle to marriage, describing it as an intense, three-legged race. Think about it. You've got two completely different entities, this heavenly soul and this earthly body, tied together by the ankle, trying to stumble forward. If one trips, they both go down, right? It takes immense patience and compromise, much like the patience you need to endure that misfortune we talked about earlier.
Okay, part 5. Yin-yang harmonization, perfect balance, the ultimate cosmic fix.
So, if the whole universe is broken and just full of these clashing dualities, how do we actually fix it? Well, to understand the solution, we first have to look at the universe's long history of imbalance, a state they call budak. Basically, the universe has historically heavily favored one side of a duality way over the other. For instance, heaven was revered while the earth was just ignored. Men were elevated while women were subjugated. Even our literal timekeeping is totally lopsided. We have a 365-day solar year mismatched against the 354-day lunar year, which is why we need leap months just to keep things somewhat aligned. It's a system that is fundamentally out of whack.
And the solution to all this? It's called Hapduk. Now, this doesn't just mean sticking two things together and hoping for the best. It means absolutely, perfectly equalizing their power, their virtue, and their status. It's about bringing the earth up to the exact same level as heaven and elevating women to the exact equal status of men. The philosophy argues that only when these historically totally imbalanced forces hit a perfect 50-50 equilibrium can the universe finally stop breaking down and achieve an immortal, perfected existence.
Almost there. Part 6, Sinan Joa, Human Spirit Reconciliation, Healing the Cosmic Rift.
Let's turn to the final major imbalance we need to look at: the completely broken, alienated relationship between humans and the spiritual realm. This is known as Sinan Joa. The source material uses this incredibly evocative phrase. It says, having dug and eaten for 3,000 years. It's a pretty heavy critique of humanity, honestly. The idea is that for millennia, humans have just taken the sun, the rain, the wind, and the earth completely for granted. We've just dug up the earth and eaten its fruits without ever offering a genuine thank you to the unseen spiritual forces that, according to this belief system, are tirelessly managing nature behind the scenes.
And what exactly is the result of all this ungratefulness? Well, just like any worker who feels completely ignored and unappreciated, the spirits get angry. This resentment literally blocks the cosmic flow. The source argues that this deep spiritual alienation is the actual root cause of the severe natural disasters, the unpredictable climate shifts, and the wild societal chaos we see today. It leads to highly unnatural events, which they describe using the Korean idiom, frost in May. So healing this rift through genuine gratitude is deemed absolutely 100% essential.
So, bringing this all together, Dasan thought really rests on 4 massive pillars. First, yin-yang harmonization, which is equalizing all forces. Second, human spirit reconciliation, healing that deep rift of ungratefulness we just talked about. Third, resolving grievances to create mutual beneficence. And fourth, the ultimate grand goal, achieving a literal earthly paradise. By resolving these deep cosmic dualities, humans and spirits will finally be able to co-manage a fully perfected universe together.
Now, if all this chaos sounds a bit like the end of the world, don't worry. The speaker strongly reassures us that it isn't. The current global chaos, the diseases, the conflicts, they are framed simply as a messy transition period. Imagine a massive global construction project trying to fix the very axis of the Earth itself. I mean, there's bound to be a lot of dust and noise while things are being set right, you know? It is simply a period of necessary growing pains leading up to that perfected state.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question to think about. If we are indeed just living in the messy transition period of a giant cosmic construction zone, how balanced are your own internal dualities? Are you practicing the patience it takes to let misfortune pass so that fortune can finally enter? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating explainer with me today.